manifested and unmanifested. Brahma is a complete form of the absolute truth and is invested with multifarious energies. Please repeat the translation. Brahma is the personal representation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead as a source of transcendental sound and is therefore above the conception of manifested and unmanifested. Brahma is the complete form of the absolute truth and is invested with multifarious energies. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The post of Brahma is the highest responsible post within the universe, and it is offered to the most perfect personality of the universe. Sometimes the Supreme Personality of Godhead has to become Brahma when there is no suitable living entity to occupy the post. In the material world, Brahma is the complete representation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and transcendental sound, Pranava, comes from him. He is therefore invested with multifarious energies, from which all the demigods like Indra, Chandra and Varuna are manifested. His transcendental value is not to be minimized, even though he exhibited a tendency to enjoy his own daughter. There is a purpose for the exhibition of such a tendency by Brahma, and he is not to be condemned like an ordinary living entity. Doesn't? Next verse I'll recite myself. Tato aparam upadhaya sasargaya manodade. Thereafter Brahma accepted another body in which sex life was not forbidden, and thus he engaged himself in the matter of further creation. Purport. In his former body, which was transcendental, affection for sex life was forbidden, and Brahma therefore had to accept another body to allow himself to be connected with sex. He thus engaged himself in the matter of creation. His former body transformed into fog as previously described. Presents the Bhakti Vedanta purport. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshuram Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Iti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktarunda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So continuing with creation, Brahma's responsibility and his qualities has been enumerated here. Shabda Brahma Atmanastasya. He is the representation of Shabda Brahma, Pranava Mantra, or the transcendental Vedic knowledge, because he is the first person to receive the transcendental knowledge. He represents the Supreme Lord in transcendental sound. Vyakta Avyakta Paraha, and he is therefore above the conception of manifested and unmanifested. Vyakta Avyakta Paraha. He is beyond Vyakta and Avyakta. Brahma Avabhati Vitato. Brahma Avabhati, and he is the complete representation of absolute truth in the material world. Nana Shakti Upabrahmhitaha, and he is invested with multifarious energies. Because to administer this material world, he has been empowered with multi energies so that he will be able to properly execute his duty. So from that purport, Prabhupada explains, the post of Brahma is the highest responsible post within this universe, and it is offered to the most perfect personality of the universe, because it is almost the secondary creator. After the Supreme Lord has created the basic elements, the transformation happens through Brahma. The allocation of various living entities at respective planetary systems and the system for taking care of the universe is guidelines are given by Brahma. So it is the second post after the Lord in this material world. So the most qualified person is given that opportunity. And whenever there is no responsible person or qualified person in that universe, the Supreme Lord himself accepts the post of Brahma. Like sometimes when there is no qualified person of Indra, Lord becomes Indra. So any of these posts, when there is no qualified person, maybe Lord expands himself. Like Brahma and Indra, we have heard these two positions. Sometimes like Vivashwan. Surya Narayana, we say, the Lord has expanded. Vyasadeva, the Lord has expanded. Krishna Dvaipayana Vyasa. So in the material world, Brahma is the complete representation of the Lord and Pranava comes from him. So since he is a representative of the Lord, we are not entitled to comment upon him, or it is said we cannot minimize his value because of one small mistake. So further it says, next verse, Tato aparam upadhaya. So he quit that former body and accepted a new body. Sasargaya manodade, which is feasible for creation, in which sex life is permitted. Because the earlier body was transcendental, he was not supposed to engage in that body in sex life, so he had to quit that body and he accepted one more body. Now quit the body, accept the body, it is not like our material bodies. See, since Brahma is in the highest planetary system, it is explained that the thought itself is, when they quit that thought, it is almost like they quit that body. It's like subtle body. You quit that subtle body, you accept one more subtle body there. The thought, feelings, everything and all, almost like they influence the personality. Because they are in the goodness of the highest level. Like in Brahmaloka, it is said that only two qualities exist. Janma, Mrityu. There is no Jara and Vyadi there in the higher planetary systems. As we go down, for us, we have Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadi. But as you go to Swargaloka, the happiness increases. As you go to higher planetary systems, the other two will be almost negligible. There is no disease and there is no old age. So, from this we understand the position of Brahma in second canto, in the first canto, in second canto majorly, almost from 2.5 till 2.10, the various aspects that Brahma had taught to Narada. So his position, as of we could understand, is he was personally guided by the Lord for executing tapasya when he was in confusion, how to proceed further for creation. The Lord gave him the direction of Shabda as tapaha. Twice he heard that. With that, he took the inspiration and he engaged in tapasya. Then Lord inspired him within his heart. The first verse of Bhagavatam states it, Tene Brahma Hridaya Adi Kavaye. The Lord inspired the Vedic knowledge into the heart of Brahma directly. Because there was no physical contact. On his sincerity, the Lord reciprocated to him through his heart. Next, Lord personally spoke to him and was satisfied by his worship. So when he had executed his worship, Lord became very much satisfied by him. And he personally spoke to him. He gave him a visualization of what is spiritual world. Then Lord shook hands with Brahma as if they are in Sakya Rasa. So shaking hand means in Sakya Rasa. So Brahma is in that mood, Prabhupada says in that perspective there. And Lord spoke first the Bhagavatam to Brahma in 4 essential verses. Then desiring welfare of others, he practiced regulative principles so that he could set an example for all the generations to come, for all living entities. He had complete faith in Lord's instructions because of holding on to the lotus feet of the Lord so firmly. So he has the absolute determination and he worships the Lord without pretension. One specific quality which is very important is without pretension. Means without imitation, without duplicity. He is worshipping the Lord with complete, absolute knowledge. It is known as Gata Vyalikaha. Shukadeva Goswami offers these prayers. Gata Vyalikar, he is saying, without any pretension, Brahma was worshipping the Lord. And finally, he was very enthusiastic when questioned about the topics concerning the Lord. Because it's an opportunity for every devotee to preach. So whenever there is an inquiry about the Lord's or Lord's devotees, they take it as a pleasure to describe, because the glories of the Lord and glories of the devotees are like nectar. The more you engage, the more you want to engage. Nava Nava Rasam. That they get newer and newer taste. So in Bhagavatam, in the 10th canto we see, when Brahma had offended the Lord by stealing away the boys, And when he came to his consciousness that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, see, he came back and he offered various prayers. The 10th canto, 14th chapter is all the prayers offered by Brahma to the Supreme Lord. So in that 2-3 prayers, where his realization he was expressing to the Lord, he says, Tadastu me nata saburi bhago bhave atra va anyatra tu va tirasham enaham ekopi bhavajjananam bhutva nisheve tava pada pallava. He is saying, O my dear Nata, O my dear Supreme Lord, Tadastu me saburi bhagaha. I am so fortunate. Bhuri bhagaha. Bhagaha means fortunate. Bhuri bhagaha means I am very fortunate that bhave atra, in this life as Brahma, or va anyatra va, even in any other life, va tirascharam, even in an animalistic life, any form, whatever I may accept, either Brahma or any other form or even up to animal life, enaham ekopi bhavajjananam, I must be counted, aham ekopi, as one, bhavajjananam, of one of your devotees. I should always be counted as one of your devotees in whatever form I accept. Bhutva nisheve tava pada pallavam, because I engage in devotional service of your lotus feet firmly. Tava pada pallavam bhutva nisheve, because I engage nisheve, a devotional service to tava pada pallavam, your lotus feet. And further he says, aho bhagyam nanda gopa vrajokasham yan mitram paramanandam purnam brahma sanatanam. He says, aho bhagyam, how greatly fortunate I am. How? Nanda gopa vrajokasham, or the greatly fortunate are Nanda Maharaj, the residents of Vrindavana, and even the animals, cows and all the other things of Vrindavana, and all the inhabitants of Vrindavana, the cowherd man Nanda Maharaj, and all the other inhabitants of Vrindavana are greatly fortunate. Aho bhagyam. Because yan mitram paramanandam, who is their dear friend, Paramanandam, the complete transcendental bliss, Purnam, the absolute, Brahma Sanatanam, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Supreme Brahman, has become their dear friend. Yan mitram, because they had become the friend of all the living entities like cowherd boys, the cows, calves, they all enjoyed the Supreme Lord as their dear friend. Then who can be more fortunate than all the inhabitants of Vrindavana? So after glorifying the inhabitants of Vrindavana, now he says, what does he require? Tadburi bhagyam iha janma kim api atavyam. He says, my greatest possible good fortune to take any birth. Tadburi bhagyam iha janma, in this Vrindavana, api atavyam yad gokule api, in Gokula, in around Vrindavana, all the area around Vrindavana, if I can get iha janma in this Vrindavana, if I can get tadburi bhagyam, it is the greatest fortune. Katama angri rajo abhishekam, because all the Vrajavasis, they keep walking here and there. And somehow or other, they will be able to place angri pada rajo abhishekam, the dust of their lotus feet, on my head. If I take birth in anywhere in this Vrindavana. Yad jivitam tu nikilam bhagavan mukundaha. Because their yad jivitam, their life, the inhabitants of Vrindavana, their entire life, yad jivitam, nikilam bhagavan mukundaha, they have completely surrendered to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Mukunda. Tu adhyapi yat padaraja sruti mrugyam eva. The dust of whose feet is still being searched for in the Vedic mantras. Because everybody wants the dust of the lotus feet of the Lord or the dust of the lotus feet of the devotees. If you want to advance in spiritual life, two places Bhagavatam clearly says. Pada Rajobhishekam. One, Bharat Maharaj says to Rahugana, Jadabharata says to Rahugana. Prahlad Maharaj says in his teachings, Pada Rajobhishekam. If you take, unless you take the devotees, dust of the lotus feet of the devotees, there is no opportunity to understand about the Supreme Lord or to advance in spiritual life. The same thing is confirmed by Brahma here. So by his realization, by his understanding, he is giving us the opportunity how to advance in spiritual life, following in the footsteps of pure devotees, who have completely yat jivitam tu nikilam bhagavan mukundaha. Who are those pure devotees? Who are completely dedicated to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And further, in one of the prayers in third canto only, he says, Tavat bayam dravina deha suhun nimittam shokah spraha paribhava vipulascha lobaha tavan mameti asad avagraha arti moolam yavan nate angri abhayam pravranita lokaha. This material world, he says, tavat bayam, it is full of anxiety, it is full of fear in this material world. Therefore, dravina deha suhurun nimittan, we always try to protect the wealth, dravina, deha, this body, suhran, our friends and relatives, nimittam, the whole endeavor is to protect in these three categories. Dravina deha suhurun. Next, because of that, shokaha spruha paribhavaha, we are filled with shokaha, lamentation, then spruha, unlawful desires, paribhavaha, concerning their paraphernalia. We are continuously in this direction. To protect something, we are always in shokaha, lamentation. And vipulascha lobaha, and they avariciously base their understanding. Lobaha means greediness. They try to pull us in all directions. If you try to endeavor to protect all these things. Can we protect the money? Can we protect our body? But still we are endeavoring to protect this body. We are running around to manage all these things. And tavan mameti asat avagraha, and on the perishable conceptions of me and mine, we are lost into this material world. Yavannate angri abhayam pravrinita loka, as long as people do not take shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord, they are full of anxieties. Arti moolam, they are full of anxieties and they are destined to suffer in this material world. The only way to come out of this suffering is to accept the shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord through the devotees. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explains the position of Lord Krishna and the devotees by saying how Krishna is very much favorable to his devotees. He says, Bhakta Vatsala Krutagnya Samartha Vadhanya. Krishna is Bhakta Vatsala, he is very devoted to his devotees. And he is Krutagnya, he is very grateful. Samartha, he is all capable, he possesses all abilities. Vadhanya, he is magnanimous. Hena Krishna Chadi Pandita Nahi Bhaje Anya. For those, a learned scholar who quits the service of the Lord to worship anyone else. Vigna Janera Hoya Yadi Krishna Guna Jnana Anya Tyaji Bhaje Tate Uddhava Pramana. So, Vigna Janera, an experienced learned person, Yadi Krishna Guna Jnana, if he gets a knowledge of the Krishnas and his transcendental qualities, Anya Tyaji, he will quit everything, Bhaje, worships the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Tate, that is the Uddhava Pramana. For this, the reference is Uddhava. So, the famous sloka of Uddhava, Aho Bakiyam Stanakala Kotam, he says, who else can be more merciful than the Lord? Who has given the highest position to Bakiyam, Putana, who has come to kill the Lord with a poison in her heart. But Lord accepted her devotional service and gave her a position, Datri Uchitam, equivalent to Mother Yashoda's position in the spiritual world. Then who can be more magnanimous, who can be more compassionate, who can be more Bhaktavatsala than the Lord? Similarly, Akrura also, when he offered his prayers to the Lord, he says, Ka panditasvad aparam sharanam samatyad bhakta priyad ritagiraha suhrudaha kritagnyat sarvan dadati suhrudo bhajato abhikamam atmanam api upachaya apachayau nayasyaha. So, who is that learned person? Ka panditaha sharanam samiyat tvad aparam, who takes except for you somebody else's shelter. Who is trying to depend upon somebody other than the Lord? Who is that Pandita? Because you are Bhakta Priyaha. The Lord is very affectionate to his devotees. Kritagnaha, he is very grateful to his devotees. And is Rutagiraha Suhrudaha, he is the truthful well-wisher of the devotees. Sarvan dadati suhruto bhajato abhikamam. For those who sincerely worship you, you give yourself to the devotees. You satisfy all their desires. Then atmanam api. Jai Shri Shri Radha Govindaki. Even you give yourself to the devotees. Like you become the property of the devotee. But upachaya apachaya nayasya, that there is no increase or diminish in your personality. Just because you have become a subservient to your devotee, the Lord's position has not come down. The Lord is always glorious. So Jiva Goswami glorifies the position of a pure devotee. He says, Brahmananam sahasrebhya, out of thousands of Brahmanas, Satrayaji vishishyate, those who are able to perform the sacrifices are very rare. Satrayaji sahasrebhya, out of thousands of people who are able to perform these sacrifices, Sarva Vedanta Paragaha, the person who is able to have complete knowledge of the Vedas is very rare. Sarva Vedanta with Kotya, of those who knows the Sarva Vedanta, out of crores of those people, Vishnu Bhakto Vishishyate, one Vishnu Bhakta is very rare. Vaishnavanam Sahasrebhya, out of thousands of Vaishnavas, Ekanti Yoko Visheshataha, one who is completely fixed in service of Lord Krishna is very famous. So how rare is those pure devotees who are completely dedicated to the Supreme Lord. Even King Kulashekara in his prayers he says, Mukunda Mala Stotra, Nasta dharme na vashu nichaye naiva kamopabhavge yad bhavyam tad bhavatu bhagavan purva kamanurupam etat prardayam mama bahumatam janma janmantarepi tvat padamburohu yuga gata nishala bhakti rastu. He says, my dear Lord, Bhagavan, na asta dharmaha, I have no attachment to religiosity, na vasu nichaye, nor for accumulating wealth, na eva kamapa bhogaye, nor for sense gratification. Dharma artha kama, I don't have any of these desires. Yad bhavyam tad bhavatu, let them come as they inevitably must. Because I am not hankering for them. As per my karma, let them come. Yad bhavam tad bhavatu. Because purva karmanu rupam, what according to my past activities, let them come. I am not endeavoring to achieve them or not, I am endeavoring to avoid them. Purva karmanu rupam, let them come as they are. But etat prardayam, my one sincere prayer, bahumatam, which I require to be given from your side, a boon, janma janmantare, birth after birth, tvat padamboruha yugagata nishala bhakti rastu, let me have unflinching devotees at your lotus feet. I don't want anything else. I just want unflinching devotional service, unflinching faith at your lotus feet. This is my prayer. See how devotees, how their mood is exhibited. They wanted to have complete shelter of the Lord and complete faith and surrender to the Lord. And they don't want to divert any other their attention. So even in one more place in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Brahma tells Bhrigu, he says, Shashti Vahasra Sahasrani Taptam Tapah Puraha. Formerly, I had engaged in tapasya for 60,000 years. Nandagopa Vrajastrinam Pada Renu Upalabhyate. To understand the dust of the lotus feet of the gopis. I went tapasya for 60,000 years to understand the power of the dust of the lotus feet of the gopis. Brahma is saying, Tatapina Maya Praptas Tasam Vai Padarenavaha. To say nothing of me, even Lord Shiva, na evam Shiva, na Sheshaha, na Shri, cha tabihi, sama kvachit. Even Shiva, Shesha and Goddess Lakshmi could not understand him. tatapi na maya praptastasam. So even after doing so much tapasya, I could not understand the glories of the lotus, the dust of the lotus feet. So when we are in the spiritual perspective, serving the Vaishnavas of the highest order, Uttamadhikari level, that is the best and most easiest way for us for going back home, back to Godhead. So in Lochan Das Thakur, in one of his songs, he mentions, who is the best candidate for the mercy of the Lord? He says, E bara karunakara Chaitanya Nitai. Oh my Lord Chaitanya and Nitai, please be merciful, ek bar, unto me, one time. Mora sama pataki ara tribhuvane nai. There is no person who is more sinful than me in this entire three worlds. Muni ati moodamati mayara nafara. I am a great fool, moodamati. Mayara nafara, and I have become a servant of Maya. E saba pape mora tanu jara jara, and my body is filled with every sin. Tanu jara jara, every part of my body is filled with E saba pape, with these sinful tendencies. Mlecha adama yata chila anachari. Tasaba hoiba buji mora papi bhari. Mlecha adama yata chila anachari. My sins are more weighty and grave than the sins of all the mlechas, than all who are fallen and ill behaved. He is saying, I am one person who is more weight than all the sins of all the people who are mlechas, adamas and yavanas. Ashesha papera papi jagai madai. Tasaba uddarila tomara dhuibai. You two brothers, Chaitanya Nitai, have delivered Ashesha Papira, representatives of Ashesha Papi, Jagai Madai. Lochana bole mo adama daya nila kene. So Lochan Das Thakur is praying to the Lord. I am the most fallen, mo adama, daya naili kene. Why you have not given me your mercy? Tumina karila daya ke karibe ani. And if you do not give mercy to me, then where will I find a better candidate for your mercy? Or he is saying, where will you find? You are here, patita pavana hetu tava avatara. You are here to deliver the most fallen personality. And I am the most fallen personality. So if you don't give me mercy, whom will you give your mercy? So in that way, the Vaishnavas, the Acharyas, they exhibit their mood. Is he a sinful person? He is the greatest Acharya, one who has compiled Chaitanya Mangala, one of the authorized autobiographies of the Lord. The mood in which the Acharya is representing is that they are like a limitation. He is representing one of the common conditioned soul. How we have, when we are in front of the Lord, what should be our prayer to the Lord? Generally, most of the times, we all visit temples. As a common man, when we visit the temple, when we are standing in front of the deity, what is our mood? Or you are here to see the beautiful form of the Lord. That beauty which destroys everything. Yesterday's class was as perspective. The beauty which blocks the material world. And as soon as we come in front of the Lord, we close our eyes. And we try to imagine the Lord when He is there standing in front of me. Why I have to imagine? That's the most foolish thing what we are doing. When the Lord has come mercifully in front of me with all the full regalia, full adorned with all the opulences and all, I am closing my eyes and I am trying to meditate upon Him, imagining the form of the Lord. That is the most unfortunate thing. Foolish thing what I am doing. Okay, when the Lord, Supreme Lord has come in front of me, or I am in front of the Supreme Lord, then what should be my mood? I should ask for something. Like you are in front of a king. What should we ask for? Prabhupada says you should ask for half kingdom. Not 5 rupees, 10 rupees and all. What I am supposed to ask? I am supposed to ask a place in the spiritual world. But what I am trying to ask? My dear Lord, Dhanam Dehi, Rupam Dehi, Yasho Dehi, that all the unwanted things in this material world, which are temporary, which will vanish in very few days. I am running behind the temporary things. See, because the problem is we have never been trained in this devotional perspective. We have been trained anything, all material requirements, run behind material requirements. It's a rat race. We are all in that race, running faster than trying to cross over others in this material world. A race which will never end. Except outside races and all, there is a start and there is a stop. In this world, this race has no start and stop. You have to keep running till we finish off this body. And again you start in the next life with the next body. Unfortunate situation. So there is one small story which I had come across in Prema Vivarta, composed by Jagadananda Pandit, one more personal associate of the Lord. So one day, while Lord Chaitanya was playing, he entered deep woods situated on the bank of Alakananda. So along with him were Gadadhar Pandit and Jagadananda, who were following him. Then Lord playfully caught hold of one parrot who was there on a bakula tree. The Lord told the parrot, "You are the son of Vyasadeva. Please speak about the glories of Radha and Krishna and enhance our transcendental bliss." The parrot did not do as directed and instead began singing Gaura Hari, Gaura Hari, Gaura Hari. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, exhibiting anger, threw the parrot away. The parrot began to dance while singing Gaura, Gaura, Gaura. It started chanting and dancing. Then he became ecstatic in transcendental emotions of divine love. The Lord said, "Oh parrot, this is Vrindavana. Sing loudly the glories of Radha and Krishna so that we may all hear." The parrot replied, "Vrindavana is now transformed into Navadvipa. Radha and Krishna have transformed themselves as Lord Chaitanya, Gaurahari. I am a parrot, I chant the name of Gaura in this forest. You are my Krishna and Radharani is my Gadadhar. Gaur Gadadhar are the Lord of my life and I hence unable to utter any other name." The Lord said, "I am a worshipper of Radha and Krishna. If I hear the chanting of anyone else's names, I feel saddened." So saying this, Lord grabbed Gadadhara's hands and returned to Mayapur, leaving behind the parrot. The parrot said, "You may sing whatever pleases you, but I shall continue my worship of Gaur Gadadhar forever." So further, one more place it says, Jagadananda and Lord Chaitanya, they were all childhood classmate friends. See, Jagadananda is in the mood of Satyabhama. If he becomes angry, Lord has to come down and pacify. I think there is one circumstance somewhere Satyabhama became angry and Krishna had to touch her feet and massage her to pacify her. So Jagadananda also used to exhibit the same tendencies. So one day they had a quarrel in the school and they fought, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Jagadananda. So after this he became very sad and he cried whole day and night. So sitting on the bank of Ganges, he was lamenting. So feeling compassionate, the Lord came to him before the dawn along with Gadadhar and called out, "Jagadananda, such anger is not good for you. Give up your stubbornness and please speak to me." So seeing the Lord's face, his anger melted and he asked, "Why have you come here so late at night? It must have caused you great pain walking in this thorny pebbles area and all these things and all. You have undertaken this difficulty just for my sake?" Lord said, "Let's go. The night has ended. Let us go to our home and eat something. Understanding your sadness, even I have been fasting till now. I had left my bed and slept, and I have left my bed and slept on the floor. At that time, Gadadhara came to me, and together we came in search of you. It is good that you have abandoned your anger. Now go to your home, and tomorrow we will joyfully play together." Yeah. Then holding on to the feet of Gadadhar, he got up slowly. He said, I could not disobey your orders. Therefore, he went to the Lord's house. He ate something and drank some water and laid down for some time. In the morning, Sachi Mata and Jagannatha gave him some milk and fed him some rice. After that, both of them went to the school. After returning from the school, Lord came to his house and they ate together. He says, love after a quarrel is like pure gold. Love after a quarrel is like a pure gold. I felt so bliss in my heart. The Lord said, it is because of our love for each other that we get angry with each other. Wherever there is love, there is anger. Each quarrel strengthens our love for each other. So it is pranaya kalaha. So when there is excessive love, there will be excessive quarrel also. So in that way, it is like the Lord is, the devotees are, that mood in which how the devotee and the Lord reciprocates. So the perspective for us is, we are not advanced in that level that we can go and quarrel with the Lord and say, all these things and all. We are in a subservient mode. We have to accept the guidance of the pure devotees, follow the instructions, and in the association of Vaishnavas, practice the spiritual life and make our life perfect. The simple process for us. Commitment to the instructions of the spiritual master is our life and soul. So any questions or doubts? रंद्रा श्रीमद् भागवतम की, जगत गुरु शिल प्रभुपाद की, निताय गौर प्रेमानंद.
శ్రీకృష్ణుణ్ణి చేరుకోవడానికి బృందావనం వైపు ఉరకలేస్తున్న యమునోత్రి, కైలాసం చేరుకోవడానికి పరుగులు తీస్తున్న గంగోత్రి, శంకరుణ్ణి శాంతపరచడం లక్ష్యంగా పాండవులు నిర్మించిన కేదార్నాథ్, ఆధ్యాత్మిక సాధనకు స్ఫూర్తినిచ్చే ఆ నరుడు నారాయణుడు నడయాడిన ప్రదేశం బద్రీనాథ్. ఈ 4 ధామాల దివ్య దర్శనమే మన చార్ధామ్ యాత్ర ప్రతి భారతీయుడి ఆకాంక్ష. రండి, ఈ మహోన్నత యాత్రలో భాగస్వాములమవుదాం.
హరే కృష్ణ గోల్డెన్ టెంపుల్ వారి మరో అపురూప కానుక హరే కృష్ణ వాణి ఆధ్యాత్మిక మాసపత్రిక. ఇప్పుడు మొబైల్ యాప్ ద్వారా కూడా సులభంగా పత్రికలు చదువుకునే సౌకర్యం, వార్షిక సభ్యత్వం, భగవద్గీత, భాగవత ప్రవచనాలు, స్ఫూర్తి సందేశాలు, ఇంకా మరెన్నో సదుపాయాలతో హరే కృష్ణవాణి మొబైల్ యాప్ నేడే డౌన్లోడ్ చేసుకోండి. మరిన్ని వివరాల కోసం కాల్ చేయండి 9133107700.
శ్రీకృష్ణుణ్ణి చేరుకోవడానికి బృందావనం వైపు ఉరకలేస్తున్న యమునోత్రి, కైలాసం